Hello everybody, boy with the beanie back here again with another video, and this is another requested video based on the Fate series, mostly by Tsia, and this video was requested by, and apologies if I butcher this name, Giorno Giovanna. He requested I react to Don't Sleep on Ilya, but with this comes three, why is with that voice break? But with this comes three things that I want to make, or I want to say. One, new beanie, what do you think? Really living up to the, really living up to the name, but what do you think about it? It lighter and a lot more comfortable. Second thing, more important, I started Twitch streaming, and I'll leave a link to that down below. You don't even need to donate anything, you don't need to do anything. By all means, just show up, watch, interact, have some fun. If you feel like throwing in something just for me and my brother, that's fine, but I'm not begging you. Just show up, have fun, talk. I don't even know if this is gonna take off. I'm doing this for fun. And third thing, until I get up to at least 50 subscribers, I'm up to 45 right now. Until I get 50 subscribers, I'm not going to be doing any more requested videos by Tsia unless I want to watch them myself and somebody had the idea in mind. So if you have a request for a video for me to react to, help me get up to 50 subscribers. I'm trying to build it up right now. I don't feel too good about begging for subs, but still, give me a bit of help with this. Aside from that, let's see what this video entails, and oh yeah, apologize for the noise or any background noise. It's raining a lot here.
I am appalled that people would have the audacity to prey on your downfall. There
it's like
must be a rude awakening. In Heaven's Field, you had Saber mention that Ilya could easily take down Shiro's barrier if she really wanted to. You have her alchemy manipulations, which allowed her to close a steel gate with one hand using her wires. In their fight against Hassan, she was able to entangle him in these same wires, weaving them throughout the entire area. In the 16th Tiger Dojo, she punched Tiger with so much force that it sent her all the way down the street. The Haymaker of Doom. Ren tells us that she has incredible resilience. Even if you knock her out straight, she's more than likely to get right back up. As a child with just enough knowledge of the world, she was thrown out into the wild with several wolves and was still able to fend them off. Just being the master of Heracles causes her agonizing pain. Every time he swings his sword, it's like she's taking the hit. Her endurance is top notch. She has higher than average speed. Shiro mentioning that even if he tried to chase her down, it wouldn't be worth it because he'd never catch up. From the Fate route, we know that Ilya has the authority to speak directly through her bounded field that's around the Einsburn castle. She says that the forest itself is a bounded field, and it will tell her whoever enters or leaves at any time. They have personal traps that are set up throughout the forest that can tell the difference between the people that walk into them. Ren getting a stronger shock than Shiro because of it. When Sakura's shadow was going towards the castle, the barrier warned her before she even left. She has the power to sense any servant, even identifying what class they're in before she sees them. She had enough magical energy to keep Heracles materialized for 2 months straight, and that was before the 5th Grail War, still enduring all the pain that came with it. Her heart alone has been compared to a nuclear reactor when it was planted into Shinji in the UB-Dub route. With just an incomplete version of the third magic, she was able to use the Grail and save Shiro's soul by the end of Heaven's Field. In the Fate materials, it tells us that Ilya could completely absorb 4 servants and still maintain her regular function. Nasu himself says that her mana pool is ridiculous. A regular mage could spend their entire life trying to match it and they still couldn't.
Is that why Chloe keeps Yuriing her? I don't know what the guidelines for YouTube are, but is that why Chloe keeps just trying to Yuri Ilya? Or educate me on that. I'm gonna make that my new word. Educate. Because I use that more than educate. Sounds fun.
We know that due to her role as the Grail vessel, she is a human made from a magic circuit, essentially a magic circuit incarnate. She easily blocked the gander bullets from Ren that was behind her before she even turned around. This is thanks to her being able to create familiars just from her hair. In that same fight, you had her familiars capture Ren and suspend her from mid-air with little effort at all. You have bad in one. Who can forget such a wholesome classic where Ilya allows Heracles to crush Shiro until he's nothing nothing but a head, and then casted a spell on that head to keep him alive. In another end, we've seen her remove his consciousness and straight up turn him into a doll. We've also seen this same spell firsthand with the Ainsworths and Prisma Ilya. In another bad end, she physically turned Shiro into an actual doll and kept him as a toy back at her mansion. She's shown to have complete authority over Shiro's soul after he agreed to be her servant, even saying that she can put him in any new body that she pleases. Her mystic code, the Dress of Heaven, can increase the success rate of her spells. This includes the ones that are high difficulty. In a bad end, she snatched Shiro's command spells and beat Saber off screen. Her high level of detection let Ilya know that Archer wasn't around to protect Ren. From her interactions with Shiro, we know that she can completely hide her presence off the map. Again, we've seen this many times throughout the story. She has magical barriers that we've seen her use to block Ren's Gander bullets. In her confrontation with Gil,
wait a minute, isn't this the Gil that was getting stomped by Gilgamesh? Ah, funny enough, there he is. Yeah, I just remember that. Short-term memory loss apparently.
The ability to shoot laser blasts of her own will. You had Shiro bring up the fact that she has no sense between good and evil, which directly affects how merciful she is during combat. She was hiding behind a curtain right next to Shiro, and he still didn't realize that she was there. In Prisma Ilya, she has a list of buffs thanks to her mystic code Ruby. A-rank magic barriers, physical protection, faster healing, and increased power. Just one shot from her energy waves was overwhelming Shadow Medusa. We've seen her use a large-scale energy field where she obliterated every Shadow 100-face Hassan in an instant. When she had max output from Ruby, she blasted Shadow Heracles through 4 stories of a building. In her sparring against
Hold up. Did this tiny little thing just
Shadow 100-face Hassan
that
in an
huge ass
instant.
man
When she
right
had
out the
max
front door.
output from Ruby, she blasted
It's okay.
Shadow Heracles through 4
Right
stories of
out.
a building. In her sparring against Kuro, she's shown that she can
I
tactfully
don't know why,
divide
that's
up
just
her
funny.
shots to create a smoke
Yeah,
screen
who?
around the target. She casually broke straight through a wall using minimal power. She was fast enough to respond to Shadow Gil's magical whips at the last second. Her energy blasts were enough to slow down the servant maid. She has the ability to turn Ruby into an energy blade, slashing the entire body of Shadow Heracles in half. She had enough physical strength to bust open a soda can with one hand alone. She went blow for blow with Beatrice, who again was being powered by Thor and Magni. In Prisma Ilya, Ruby tells her that her default form as a magical girl is stronger than using the assassin card itself. The story tells us that due to Kuro's existence, Ilya's powers were weakened, which means that whatever she does, she's really stronger than that. In the fight against Bazette, she blocked the full force of one of her punches just by using her wand. She took a direct hit from Shadow Gil's giant and recovered in seconds, tactfully blasting herself off the ground to avoid the second attack. She also took a direct hit to the chest from Beatrice and recovered instantly. In FGO, you had Maeve admit that despite running over Ilya with her chariot, she wasn't even bothered. In her fight against Shadow Salter, she only took a cut from one of her projectiles. This too healed in no time. Due to her physical protection, you had Ruby repel one of Assassin's darts. This physical protection can go as far as covering the whole body, leaving Ilya...
Okay, so hold up, right? One minute. We've seen almost every Fate character
due to her
to a certain point be able to just be like, oh look, a projectile, sweep, and just right to the side eye, just weave to the side eye. How did... Were you confused? Did you just not see it coming? Well, obviously you're not supposed to see it coming as a projectile from a far distance. How did... Because I keep seeing all these Fate characters, they just dodge bullets like it's yesterday's morning warm-up. And I know Ilya is powerful. Like, watch the rest of this. I'm betting it. Ilya's powerful. She's gonna get some a good
physical
break.
protection. You had Ruby repel one of Assassin's darts. This physical protection can go as far as covering the whole body, leaving Ilya without a scratch when she took on a barrage of Ren's Gander bullets. In their fight against Shadow Medea, we saw Ilya take a ridiculous amount of beam spams with no damage. This includes at least 400 orb gates for the shots. No, I can't make this up. I actually counted them. When she was up against Kuro, we saw her use the reinforced magic shield to block block one of her shots. She's been shown using a separate magic shield when she was up against Bazette, blocking her hits from every angle. She can even use these shields to bind her target, stopping Bazette in her punches completely. She used the same spell to restrict Gil's Colossal Familiar in their battle. In her fight against Shadow Medusa, she was fast enough to dodge her nail dagger at point blank range. She dodged a sword from Kuro that was aimed directly at her head at point blank range. She managed to avoid a reinforced burst from Bazette with little time to react. We've seen her react to Shadow Gil's whiffs at the last second as well. She dodged a whole barrage of phantasms from...
Okay, yeah, but how can she dodge all of these? But that one little knife from before, she just... Or did she just kind of dodge it but then feign being hit by it? Because that's what I know, most Fate characters can just dodge things like nobody's business
without being harmed. Despite Shadow Medea having territorial advantage, Ilya was dodging all of her beams in mid-air with no problem. When she was late for class, she flew over her city from her house to her school in minutes. She escaped from several stories underground while carrying Rin with little time to spare. In her fight against Shadow Salter, she dodged one of her energy waves at the last second. We've seen her tactfully install an Archer card to save the team with the Ro Ice. She had enough time to respond to Kuro's surprise assault. She dodged multiple strikes in midair from the arm of Gil's giant. She ducked another sword at the last second from Kuro while they were sparring. Her Mystic Code Ruby says herself that she can block bullets at will. She was even offended by this question because it's such a basic task for her. Ilya had Shiro in shock when he found out that she can catch up to him on foot while he was riding on his bike. When she was up against Shadow Medusa, Ilya was giving her a run for her money. Literally, she couldn't catch her. She outran a pack of dogs on foot, which we know can go at least 20 miles per hour. When she was swimming at school, she had a record of 25 meters in 10 seconds, which is also 55 miles an hour. When she was captured by the Ainsworth, she had enough mental strength to negate Angelica's brainwashing. In FGO, her magic resistance allowed Ruby to survive an explosion from Maeve. You had Ruby help Ilya out when she was attacked by the spell from Dark Marie. Her Mystic Code Ruby is a kaleidostick that was created by Zelrech. She has her own identity and she holds an unlimited amount of mana. With her being born as a lesser Grail, Ilya has the innate ability to grant wishes if she has the right resources. This is the same reason that Kuro was allowed to stay in the world despite her being a part of Ilya. Through the powers of Ruby, we know that Ilya has access to a truth serum, which exposed how Shiro really felt about Rin. We've also seen that Ruby can deploy multiple syringes that left everybody on the scene sedated. She has access to a love potion that has Shiro moving extremely sus. They have a hypnosis technique that allows them to erase memory hours beforehand. Ruby managed to pull this off for multiple people. This even drops the target's IQ by 1, so it's best to use it when you really need it. She's shown the use.
I just enjoyed Tommy Lee. Okay, the car's passed.
Of a formula that puts Ilya in a near-death state. In her fight against Medea, she tactfully used the ground to reflect a barrage of bullets. She's been shown using her blast to propel Miyu and give her a boost while mid-air. She tactfully used multiple magic shields against Bazette to slow down her movement. We've seen her lock Shadow Gil in place by restricting him using the same method. Even when Ilya had mad enhancement, Rin brings up the fact that she had a well-thought-out plan to recreate Thor's death on Beatrice. When Ilya comes through, everybody better move out the way. In FGO, she beat multiple goddesses back to back with them giving her props afterwards. This includes Kets and Ishtar. We know that Ruby can sustain her blast long enough to create fireworks. From her sparring with Kuro, we know that Ilya can forego her transformation and use that same energy to reinforce her attacks. When Angelica placed her consciousness inside of a stuffed animal, she had the mental strength to move and speak, which shouldn't normally be possible. By turning Ruby into a handle, she has the power to wield the Sword of Gaia, a literal weapon of the Counterforce. This same sword casually dashed through every mud and shadow variant that was thrown at her. It also cracked Pandora's box.
How? That's like me saying, okay, I have this robotic hand. It wraps around Thor's hammer and then can lift it. That's what I'm assuming. That thing the one wrapped around had to have a power limit or at least a level cap to say like if you're not strong enough, then you can't lift or wield this. That's cool. I wonder what else you could do.
Which again shouldn't be possible with earthly means. By using the include function on a class card, she can manipulate her mystic code instead of transforming. This gives her access to sword, bows, or combining two different classes at once. Using the archer card, she outpaced Shadow Saucer and landed a direct blow to the chest. During that same fight, she used Concho and Bakia to swipe through Saber's projectiles. You had her project multiple swords back to back to slow Saucer down. She easily blocked one of her projectiles by casting Ro Ias. In Gold fashion, she projected Excalibur, then used it to beat out Excalibur Morgan for the win. When she was up against Bazette, we find that Ruby can turn herself into a clone of Ilya just to be used as a distraction. You had the Mystic Code Sapphire do the same thing to trick Kid Gil in their battle. With the power of the Berserker card, she caught Thor's hammer Mjolnir with her bare hands. In that same fight, there was a time where Ilya said they were at least even in terms of combat. In her fight against Julian, she tactfully used the Medusa card to travel, then switched to her Berserker form to impale his thorns at the last second. Julian tried to send out an entire hailstorm of projectiles, and Ilya was slicing through all of them. We know that Ilya was straight up blocking Beatrice's lightning strikes. At a point where Ilya was supposed to be taken over by madness, she was still restraining all of his drawbacks. In that same fight, she got electrocuted by Beatrice and blown through an entire house and still survived. In a clever manner, she used...
Well, yeah, to fit characters, being blown throughout the entire house is more or less the sub-equivalent of a human being thrown through a ball pit. Is it really that... Now, answer me this properly. Is it really that interesting that a Fate character, or any anime character in general, just went through a whole house and then got back up, shook it off, and then went back to fighting? Because I'm thinking about that. Think about, well, Ilya herself. I don't know if she's human, I don't know if she's a servant, I don't know if she's like a combination of both. But to most of these characters, I think being thrown through an entire house would be the human sub-equivalent of just being thrown into a ball pit. It's not really gonna hurt, it's just gonna inconvenience you slightly. And then you back up to it, because the way you see them shaking it off, it's like, bitch, does that even hurt? Or is the concrete just like Cyrotex?
Used the overwrite function on the Berserker card with Ryder and became Gorgon Medusa. Again, in this form, we see her catching Thor's hammer with her bare hands. She was overwhelming Beatrice's Berserker arm with just punches and kicks. You had a point where Ilya straight up deflected Mjolnir by kicking it through a house. You had her match the sheer force of Beatrice's Berserker arm just by using the hairs of Medusa. This is after the fact that Beatrice strengthened herself and revealed she was using the card of Thor's son Magni. You had her dodging Thor's hammer at point blank despite its ridiculously large coverage. As a way to fight against Darius's spatial warping, she bounced around at a speed so fast that he couldn't even find her. She has a unique ability that allows Ruby to function as one of her snake hairs, making you fight them both at the same time. This had enough power to lift up Beatrice's entire body into the air. In fact, instead of Ilya immediately losing her sanity, you had Beatrice bring up that she was getting better the madder she got. In a previous fight, Beatrice was shocked that Ilya wasn't completely atomized just by defending with Medea's card. She completely tanked an arrow explosion from Kuro when she was using the Lancer card. With the Medusa card, she dodged multiple shots from Kuro, then binded her in chains on top of that. Kuro also mentioned that she has top rank agility when she's using this card. With the power of parallel worlds.
Is Ilya and Kuro, well, however to pronounce it, I'm just going with the captions because I can't exactly hear it too well because, well, you know, speaker and audio and all that. But are they like enemies on Nemesis or something like that? They just clash head to head and then at the end of it just like, okay, thanks, good fight, and then they just go a different way just to train, or are they legitimate enemies? Or is it based on the guy controlling the servant itself?
from the second magic, Ilya and Miyu made 9 copies of Excalibur and completely obliterated Shadow Heracles using them. She was the one that came out the winner in a clash against Kuro. This had both of them using Excaliburs, and Ilya changed her class at the last second. She was strong enough to break out of Darius's thorn cage and destroy the obelisk that was sent behind it. You had her cutting down mobs of Shadow heroic spirits alongside Kuro. She blew straight through the arm of a giant when they tried to slow her down in that same fight. She got knocked into a stone wall by a giant and got right back up not long after. Ilya said,
yeah, just taking that example alone, that would be just like me being knocked into this and then getting back up. Because I assume they have far higher than above average durability. It's like Superman. Like, yeah, you see somebody gets thrown into the back of a forklift, the forklift gets pelted aside, but the guy just kind of shakes it off. I'm gonna fight you and all that. But then you try with a human and then he's just there. Oh shit, my back is fucked up. Like, you have object density is a thing as well, so I'm just assuming that the characters here are dense enough that if they get through a McIntyre wall, it's basically like just this background sheet here just stretched out a lot. So all they're just gonna feel is not even like elbowing a full wall, it's just like and yeah, it doesn't exactly do much. That's my hypothesis.
That these unnamed shadow servants are on the same level as the class cards. You had her dodge multiple shadow phantasms from Julian at short range. With just one Excalibur blast, she vanquished an entire field of shadow servants in an instant. She was dogpiled by multiple shadow giants at once and sliced through them all. She managed to get a clean cut straight through Julian's stomach despite his incredible defense. He threw a whole wall of thorn projectiles at Ilya from behind, and she still managed to block her way out of it. In that same fight, she made quick use of her Berserker card to get through his ball of thorns and land a fatal blow. Mind you that he was using Pandora's box, which was technically functioning like fuel from a grail. We saw her slice straight through Darius's familiar when it tried to swallow her whole. She makes great use of her surroundings, speed dashing across Julian's vines. Despite his ability to teleport and warp space, you had Darius complimenting Ilya on her instincts, saying that he can't tell if it's the card doing the work or not. As an independent being, her mystic code Ruby won't even work with you unless she allows it. We know that Ruby has the ability to find light signals as well as give detailed information on them. She has her own phone device that allows her to communicate with her sister mystic code Sapphire. Don't worry, she comes equipped with her own projector. You can kick back, watch some movies, catch up on your fate. She's got it all. Ruby has a fortune-telling device that allows you to predict the future on a low level based on your past experiences. If there's ever a reason that Ilya needs to record footage, Ruby has her own hard drive. In a conference with the squad, both mystic codes have shown the ability to project a live video feed as well. Luvia being impressed by how great the signal is. They have the ability to sense certain distortions and causality. Ruby has what if-o-vision, a special lens that allows her to scout out certain circumstances. She's so useful that Kirei decided to throw her in his spicy broth, the best feature by far. She can put out her magical blast as a machine gun variant well. She's so useful that Kirei decided to throw her in his spicy broth, the best feature by far.
Okay, yeah, but what does that do? Or what did it do? Is it give it the Lucky Charms effect and make the broth magically delicious? Or is it something else?
She can put out her magical blast as a machine gun variant as well as on a large scale. She had the authority to straight up take her to a separate dimension. Using the transformation through Ruby, Ilya automatically gains the ability to fly. This normally would take advanced practice, but Ilya was able to do this immediately. She has access to illusionary techniques, making a good portion of the ground look like firm land. If necessary, Ilya has access to using the Kaleidostick Sapphire too. Using this, she's shown the ability to stack her shields on top of each other for maximum defense. Of course, she used this to block several nameless phantasms from Luvia and Ren. Ilya has great reflexes, dodging multiple phantasms from Angelica through the Gate of Babylon. She has pyramid protection spells that divide the nameless phantasms at the last second. You had Ilya trick Darius by cleverly switching to Rule Breaker at the last second to help her gain the advantage. Then you have the ultimate hacks where she uses her Zwei K form, which is the combination of both Kaleidosticks, Ruby and Sapphire together. With this in her possession, she easily was able to tank a fatal blow from Kid Gil and cut an entire mountain-sized sword in half with one shot. Using this, Ilya was able to take on an endless pool of phantasms that Gil was throwing at her. She used her pyramid defense to stop another barrage, then binded the Colossal's arm at the same time. Even when Gil tried to defend with the shield of the gods, Ilya just broke straight through it. She caught multiple phantasms with her binding technique and kept them suspended in the air. Through the fact that we know Kuro and Ilya share pain, Kuro lets us know that the pain that Ilya was going through to use this form was still agonizing. You had Ruby beg Ilya not to use the form again just because of the sheer damage it does to your internal organs. And though he wasn't at his full capacity, you had Ilya use an Ultra Blast that overpowered Kid Gil's Aya. You have her pseudo-servant variant Sitonai, which is a combination between 3 different spirits, Ilya being the vessel. This includes the goddess Sitonai herself, Lohi, and Freya. She has access to her own ice-breathing polar bear, which she can ride and have attack in her place at will. Due to her makeup, she has her own sword and bow with ice manipulations. We've seen her cast a healing spell on Blackbeard despite him having a fatal wound. You had her speaking a healing spell on Blackbeard despite
I expect the beard to be a bit more prominent.
Despite him having a fatal wound. You had her speaking telepathically to Ritsuka and hijacking his contract with Napoleon. Even if a door is locked with divine iron, she can still open it. She can transfer data from remote locations using Atlas-style magecraft. She's shown the ability to make the whole squad invisible. This includes their magical energy and their footsteps. She has heat manipulations as well, mentioning that she has access to a warmth spell. She was able to effortlessly destroy 2 Tree of Emptiness seeds. These seeds are what sustain an entire Lost Belt and operate on their own accord. Her magecraft was strong enough to reveal the camouflage.
Again, his feet. Why not have tits? It's feet. If Jack the Ripper could be like that, why can't Napoleon?
Tree of Emptiness in the background. Again, this should hardly be possible. In fact, she's the one that summoned Heracles to protect us during the Lost Belt. Her main drawback would have to be just how powerful Ruby is. Although she does have access to an unlimited supply of mana, it's a similar situation to Salter and Sakura because she's still thresholded by her circuits. She would need the best circuits to put all of that energy out. The other thing is that she's restricted to whatever she has in her possession, such as the class cards. But as we've seen time and time again, this is hardly a problem for her considering her ability to adapt. Then there's her Kaleidostick. If she doesn't have her Kaleidostick for more than 30 seconds, or if it's too far away from her, she loses her transformation. So if somebody's able to disarm her, GG's. But this is no easy thing to do, especially considering that Ruby herself can fly back to her. So good luck with that one. For all the people that used to play with Ilya's name, I need nothing but pure silence. She's got the high tier magic circuits. She's got her own Kaleidostick made by Zelresh that utilizes the second magic. She's an excellent fighter. She makes extremely good use of the things at her disposal. Despite her coming from a family that's not good at combat, literally hanging with some of the most pivotal characters in the Nasuverse, you had her pull the impossible by saving Shiro's soul at the end of Heaven's Field. There's no room for a debate. I'm giving my girl the EX. This is what best sister looks like, and if you disagree, you're a liar.
Wasn't that the same thing they gave to Gil? Well, I mean, yeah, the amount of things she did too, I think it's fair. Plus unlimited mana pool, the amount of okay, yeah, fine. EX works, but I don't know enough about it to give any constructive criticism to it. I just thought the amount of time she was being hosed by Gilgamesh that she wasn't... I'm not gonna say as strong because that's just being judgmental, but still impressive nonetheless. I only know a few things about Ilya. I don't know the other one's name, Kuro, as I heard the call in it. But like a good amount of these things I didn't know, especially the smaller version. And he just mentioned it, the infinite mana pool thing. Yeah, I did not know a lot about that, but still the EX rank is not something I was expecting. But that is the end of the video, and to to end things off, please check the description. I'll leave my link to my Twitch account down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Also, as I said, if it have anybody that wants me to react to something or have a special request to react to, help me get to 50 subs, and by all means I reacted. Every time I said something, I've done it. Help me get to 50 subs, I'll react to whatever it is. Doesn't matter if the video is long, doesn't matter if the video is short, 2 seconds, 10 seconds, a full hour, I'll do it. So let's see if you can get to at least 50 subscribers. I don't even think I can make more than that, but hopefully it works. Aside from that, I'll see you all in the next video.